Hi, it's Conor Svensson here, founder and CEO of Web3 Labs, and this is your Week in Blockchain on Monday, the 21st of June, 2021. The highlights this week include Tim Berners-Lee, creator of the World Wide Web, selling his first NFT, Microstrategy's latest Bitcoin purchase, Tesla might start accepting Bitcoin again, BitDAO pre-launch raising $230 million, Mark Cuban on DeFi, and Goldman are planning to support Ether options. Tim Berners-Lee, the creator of the World Wide Web, has listed a NFT that he's going to be selling on Sotheby's. And this NFT is an NFT that contains like a digital poster, but also source code for the early parts of the World Wide Web that he worked on. So for those of you who are slightly geekier like me on this, basically he's got the actual Python code that was used for creating the HTML markup language, the HTTP protocol that's used for web browsers talking to websites, and URIs, which is like the addressing layer used of the internet. The actual auction starts on June the 23rd with bidding starting at $1,000, but I'm sure it's going to be getting a lot higher than this. And the actual proceeds of the sale will be going to initiatives supported by Tim Berners-Lee and his wife. Yeah, so it's huge news, and it's also great to see like one of these, such a significant person, creating an NFT like this. I often think about how if you were to get like a version of the Ethereum white paper, for instance, that was signed by Vitalik, or the yellow paper by Gavin Wood, there could be some really interesting NFTs that could be created by these significant technical innovators as well. So it'll be really fun to see how this goes forward. Elon Musk's been tweeting again about Bitcoin. This time he basically said that Tesla will resume allowing Bitcoin transactions if there's confirmation of reasonable, i.e. 50% clean energy use by miners, which did rise the price of Bitcoin by approximately 1%. Apparently the tweet was in response to a Cointelegraph story where someone was accusing Musk of a Bitcoin pump and dump scheme after Tesla bought a whole load of Bitcoin and then actually sold some of this exposure at the peak, but Musk responded saying that this wasn't the case and that they were just checking the liquidity of the market there. But again, the story's obviously not over yet with Tesla and Bitcoin here. Microstrategy as well have been continuing to plow more and more funds into Bitcoin too. So this time they've announced that they did like a 500 million offering of secured notes, which basically they then used to buy more Bitcoin. And so the expectation here is that with this latest purchase, they'll be able to take their Bitcoin holdings to up to over 100,000 Bitcoin, which is obviously a huge number. They've also spoken about having a $1 billion stock offering as well, and this was announced just after they closed this funding round. So of course it's going to be another way for investors to get more exposure to more Bitcoin via MicroStrategy there. There's been a very interesting project that's bubbled up this week as well called BitDAO. So DAOs are decentralized autonomous organizations, basically organizations that live on code on a blockchain and governed decentrally. And so, what's fascinating here though is that this DAO project hasn't actually launched yet, but it's been backed by Peter Thiel, Founders Fund, Pantera Capital, and Dragonfly Capital, and then other participants including Jump Capital, Fembishi, and the Synthetics founder as well. So there's some really interesting people getting behind this raise. And so given it's not actually launched yet, the only information that really is available is that they're planning to promote and propel the mass adoption of open finance and the decentralized token economy. So potentially a fascinating project, but we shall see. Mark Cuban as well, he put out a lengthy blog post this week talking about how he believes DeFi will be the next great growth engine for the US market. The actual post was called "The Brilliance of Yield Farming, Liquidity Providing and Valuing Crypto Projects." He did call out the US government and regulators that they needed to start getting behind a lot of these innovations, such as DeFi, because otherwise the US might actually miss out on the next big growth engine that the country needs, in his words. He was actually quite direct as well, calling out the absolute stupidity, to quote him, of the regulators there. And he believes that in the next 10 to 20 years that people will look back at this period of time and seeing it as very, very pivotal and that world-changing companies companies were built, and certainly DeFi being a big portion of that. So again, it's it's fascinating that he's really been quite vocal here, and also quite critical about the speed at which the US regulators are responding. He did also, though, funnily enough, shortly after this post, make calls for DeFi regulation after his an investment went to zero. So there was a cryptocurrency that launched called Titan, and the actual token shed nearly 100% of its value after a few hours. Mark Cuban said that he'd had a small percentage of his portfolio in it, but now he's suddenly saying that he wants to see increased regulation, especially around stable coins. So he obviously got burnt there. It's not worked out that well for him, but it's also at the same time, there's a certain irony there that this happened just after he was talking about this project. The Thai SEC, they've actually banned a number of types of crypto this week as well. So meme coins such as Dogecoin, fan coins as well that are just created by fans for certain events and so on, and exchange tokens plus NFTs. So trading of these has all been banned. They obviously want to sort of stamp down on some of the slightly more I guess the more innovative types of tokens. And so meme tokens, obviously, as we said, that's Doge, but also NFTs as well, which have seen huge amounts of growth this year too. They want to actually see those not being traded anymore, but then to exchange tokens as well. So these would be the tokens that are issued by, for instance, Binance, Uniswap, FTX, that provide incentives for the actual users of the platforms, which reduces like their trading commission fees in the case of, say, Binance. But then also, where people on the Uniswap, for instance, where people are contributing to liquidity pools, they get compensated in the Uniswap token as well. So it's not so good news for the market there, but again, we'll have to just see how this evolves. Goldman Sachs have said that they're planning to start trading Ethereum futures. They did embrace Bitcoin futures earlier this year, but again, it's very positive sentiment that they're going to start supporting the second largest crypto after Bitcoin here. Morgan Stanley too, the number of different funds that are available to their wealth management clients too is expanding, with New York Digital Investment Group, NYDIG. They've actually created a new fund, and this will be the fourth one that's going to be on offer to Morgan Stanley's clients who want to get crypto exposure. So again, it's just more showing that they're embracing these products for their actual clients. We spoke last week about how El Salvador had implemented Bitcoin as legal tender there. However, they reached out to the World Bank for help with implementing Bitcoin as legal tender, but the World Bank's actually turned down their request. The reason for this was because their concerns about the environmental impact of Bitcoin and the transparency shortcomings as well, because of its pseudo anonymity associated with the accounts there. So it's no doubt a hit for El Salvador, but it's kind of understandable the World Bank's position on that. Grayscale, they've apparently are exploring a number of new investment products. They've been launching a large number of these exchange listed products that provide exposure to a number of different cryptocurrencies as well as tokens. And so now they're looking at ones that are tied to Solana, Matic Labs, and also the 1-inch Bancor Curve, the Internet Computer, and so on and so forth. So clearly there's a lot of demand for these tokens, and so they're continuing to find ways to offer them to investors. Moving on to enterprise news, Broadridge, their blockchain platform for which supports the repo market, is already handling 31 billion worth of transactions daily, even though it launched only a little more than a week ago. Apparently, this is much of this volume comes from their existing financial relationships in Europe and the US, because they are a significant player there. But nonetheless, it's a significant volume. Although that being said, of this 31 billion is still relatively small in comparison to the broader repo market, which is approximately 2.6 trillion, the overnight market that is. A number of PayPal executives are going to be launching a cross-border payments network. It's called Clovers. These former executives have recently announced this project, and it's apparently a completely decentralized global payments network that will connect merchants, banks, and other payment providers, allowing them to transact digital currencies worldwide. There's obviously a lot of people already playing in this space, but given that these guys are coming from PayPal as well, there's probably a very solid team with some good relationships there that they're going to be able to leverage. And with this, they they're actually taking on the Swift payment system because they feel that it needs more modern payment infrastructure that doesn't have all of this sort of efficiencies. The company Bitwise has raised 70 million from a new round of investors. It's an asset manager which has over 1 billion in assets that supports a wide number of different types of assets such as index funds, but they've also launched recently Bitwise Crypto Industry Innovators ETF. What they're going to use with this new raise is court new clientele and enhance their brand as a trusted partner in holding crypto for the long term. This raise of 70 million was at a 500 million valuation. On the Binance platform, a decentralized Airbnb platform called Dtravel has launched there, and so this so-called Airbnb competitor, it provides joint ownership of the platform for both the house owners as well as the house guests. So again, as is always the case with these projects, when they launch, they want to ensure that there's stakes available for the users of the platform, and it's what we see time and time again. Whether or not they'll be able to impact Airbnb in any way, of course, remains to be seen. But nonetheless, it's fun to see these projects launching up with these innovative models. We've seen 15 Indian banks that have come together to form a blockchain trade finance consortium. It's called the Indian Banks Blockchain Infrastructure Company. They're focusing on letters of credit, which is an area that a number of different trade finance platforms are already looking at. But having these Indian banks all working in consortium here is really important to actually get these sorts of networks off the ground when they're working in heavily regulated industries like banking. But with the upside of this is that they will actually be able to move transaction times from 4 to 5 days through to hours basically. So it is significant. Moving on to protocol news, Polkadot Kusama network, their first parachain auction is going live this week, and so this is basically an auction event for slots, so that projects can actually in effect be hooked in to the Kusama network in its main chain there. And so it's a big historic moment for this, because as we spoke about previously, how for the Polkadot network with the main Polkadot chain, but also Kusama, which is like the sort of experimental but not testnet chain for the network, what they're doing is they're opening up a certain number of slots for auction, these parachains, to in effect plug into what's called the relay chain, which is the main blockchain, so to speak, of the Polkadot network. So the fact that this is moving forward is again a great sign of progress for that project. Also now the Keep and NuCypher protocols, they've announced that they're now getting on with their merge on Ethereum, and this is due to be happening in August. And so what they're doing is they're actually merging together these two protocols, and they're creating a new decentralized autonomous organization off the back of it. And they're also calling out the fact that this provides a little bit more efficiency as well for the two different projects too, because rather than both using duplicate sets of resources of the Ethereum network, having a single DAO there will make it more efficient. In the DeFi space, the Sygnum platform, they've announced that they're going to add banking services for DeFi tokens, and so Signum is a digital asset bank out of Switzerland and Singapore, and what they've said is they're going to provide banking and custody trading services for Aave, Aragon Curve Maker, Synthetic Uniswap, and 1inch. So again, it's a significant sort of move forward, especially given that they're really setting themselves up as a proper bank for these digital assets. The dYdX exchange has closed a $65 million round that was led by Paradigm as well. So this is their Series C raise. Their Series B was closed only in January of this year. So again, it's another project that's rapidly scaling up and capitalizing off the back of all of the growth that we've seen in the industry. That they have actually said as well that their goal is to be one of the largest crypto exchanges, but they're looking at a sort of 3 to 5 year time horizon. So being slightly more conservative with their ambitions, especially when you see how quickly exchanges like FTX, for instance, have kind of sprung up and emerged to be leading exchanges almost overnight. But again, it'll be great to see how it plays out over the longer term. The Ledger Live platform, they've provided their first DeFi platform integration with one called Paraswap. So Ledger Live is the platform used by the Ledger hardware wallet devices. And so a number of people, use this already, but to actually provide the integration with the DeFi platform is kind of a big step forward there. Apparently why they decided to go with Paraswap versus others such as 1inch, and the Ledger CEO said that it was down to like the easy to use interface. And this is of course like one of the big challenges that's faced with especially DeFi right now, and blockchain more generally, is that it's just not as simple or smooth as it should be when it comes to transacting with these networks. And so again, it's a positive step in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work that needs to happen to really kind of optimize the experience for users, because the ecosystem's out there, but it just needs to be made easier for more people to work with it. So also this week, the Kyber Network as well, that they're planning to bring more liquidity to Ethereum by providing an integration to Polygon and DeFi platforms that are building on top of Polygon. So the idea really with this is it'll just make it easier for more liquidity providers, traders and developers to engage with DeFi. With Polygon, of course, the rate at which transactions can be performed is a lot higher than with the main Ethereum network. Moving on to the NFT news. So with the football tournament that's happening at the moment, the European Cup, there's a Euro 2020 fantasy game that's been launched on the Football Coin platform. The idea here is that it's a free to play game with NFT player cards, and people can register for chances to win prizes. Again, it's fun to see the kind of old and new being brought together here, especially with something that's so well established like fantasy football. Also, we've heard Space Force set to launch satellite NFTs in conjunction with some actual launches that are happening. So what they've done is they've partnered with digital artist companies Worldwide XR and View XR to release NFTs with augmented reality. So basically what there are is that they've got these NFTs that are digital twins for certain satellites that are being launched into space. You can go on the website, it's pretty cool to see like these different kind of space-based NFTs there. And there's also going to be like obviously these VR type integrations too, so you can see it becomes a bit more immersive. Christies, the auctioneer, have announced that going to be Europe's first auctioneer to accept cryptocurrency payments. So although there's been a number of different crypto things that have been sold recently, what they want to do is provide as a standard payment option for things that are being auctioned. So to tie in with this, on June the 30th, they've got the artist Keith Haring's Untitled 1984 digital work of art, and the option is there for the buyers to actually pay in cryptocurrency, and the estimated price is in the kind of 3.9 to 4.5 million. Burberry, the fashion company, they've also launched their first NFT as via in-game clothing. So they've worked there with Mythical Games to actually create a play-to-earn video game called Blanco's Block Party, and what they have is they've got exclusive NFTs that are in the game basically. So depending on how this goes, Burberry may well find that they go further down the NFT rabbit hole, so to speak. Media company Fox as well, they've launched a $100 million fund for their new NFT studio. We mentioned previously that they had like this blockchain initiative they are working on with the creators of Rick and Morty, creating Crapopolis. But what they're doing is that Fox Entertainment are working with their animation studio, Bento Box Entertainment, and they're going to be creating like these series of NFTs on the actual platform there. So again, of course, given how popular these animations and shows are, they're very well positioned to be able to bring people to it, because they of course own the IPR for these NFT creations. Engine has the blockchain platform, who also have an NFT platform as well. They've started working with a company called Virtual Worlds to create photorealistic digital replicas of the Egyptian pyramids as NFTs. Obviously, with the pyramids, no one owns them as such. So it's not like these NFTs having any ownership attached to them in terms of the underlying thing that they represent. But at the same time, what they've done is Virtual Worlds create these very immersive kind of tours that you can go in, and they've created NFTs to kind of tie in with that. And so People can kind of go and have these virtual tours, and that people can actually claim NFTs within these 3D environments, and it's using the NFT platform behind the scenes. So again, it's a fun innovation to see it going forward. CNN, the news outlet, have announced that they're going to be offering historic news moments of NFTs. So it sounds quite similar to what Dapper Labs have done with NBA Top Shots in terms of having historic basketball moments, but now they're focusing on news. So it's things like famous space travel, things that happened, technological advancements, presidential elections. The actual project is being called Vault by CNN, Moments That Changed Us. It's going to be basically tokenized moments that spread back there over their whole 41-year history, and comes along with a vault to actually show the NFTs too. They're going to be doing 6 weekly drops starting from late June, and they've teased anyway that the first ones might be around election results and space travels. They're going to be working with the Flow blockchain from Dapper Labs, so it kind of makes sense in terms of that tie in there. Again, it'll be fun to see, and given how successful Top Shots were, you'd expect to see that these will get quite a lot of traction as well, given how well-known a brand CNN is. Mattel, the toy company, as well, they're creating NFTs of their Hot Wheels cars. So for those of you who've, most people probably remember these, they're still going strong, but it's like those small die-cast cars. And what they're doing is they're creating a number of Hot Wheel classics, like their Twin Mill, Bone Shaker, and Eora 2. And the winner of this auction will they'll be able to pay using Ether for these NFTs. In the Ethereum Metaverse, on Decentralized, but Republic Realm, a firm that invests in virtual real estate, has set a new record for a piece of digital real estate in Decentraland. So they've spent $913,000 on a piece of land there. So again, exactly what they're planning to build on that remains to be seen, but it's certainly showing interest in the Decentraland platform. And then finally, McLaren, the racing provider, have announced that they've signed up with Tezos as a blockchain and NFT partner for them, and they're going to be creating NFTs aligned with their Formula One, IndyCar, and esports pursuits. That apparently they selected Tezos because of its low carbon footprint. Of course, we know that with the main one for NFTs, Ethereum, in this respect, it will be changing early next year. But it's of course, companies are concerned right now about the environmental impact. Moving on to our metrics, the crypto market cap is down just over 7.5% to $1.4 trillion. Assets locked in DeFi are down 7.5% as well to 53 billion. The 7-day NFT sales are actually up just over 11% to 12.3 million, with an average price of $500. That's all we have for this week. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. Links to all items discussed are available in the show notes and on our website, weekinblockchain.com. We also host a weekly clubhouse room every Monday at 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. UK time to discuss the items we cover here. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.